Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to this special January 2024 edition of Upcoming Wargames, where I'm going to take a look and rank in order my most wanted tabletop wargames for the year 2024. Now, all of the other categories in this video, crowdfunding, imminent release, newly released, will be back in the 2024 February edition, which I'll be releasing in about 2 weeks. But for this edition, I wanted to concentrate on my most wanted wargames. We do have a couple of announcements before we start. If you'd like to jump ahead right to the rankings, you can use the navigation down below, but some announcements as we start out. First up, this video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games in Wisconsin. I'm happy to say that they'll also be providing a $50 store credit giveaway. We're going to run that giveaway at the end of this video, so stick around for that. If you're not familiar with Noble Knight Games, they sell RPG, tons of war games, board games, magic supplies, historical minis, and things like that. They're a wonderful company. I've been really happy to see how many people have put down in comments down below how much they like them as well. Also, as I was getting ready for the Bulge Off series on the channel, I picked up 2 orders, 3 games from them. All of them came in great shape, and I was really happy with the service too. If you're an international customer, you may also want to know that they are currently running a free international shipping special. I know how dearly expensive it is to ship games overseas. So many of the international non-US based viewers let me know how expensive it is to get stuff from the United States, Europe. It does have a large pre-order minimum. It's, I think, $300 minimum. But if you are thinking to bolt together a large purchase, you can save significantly on international shipping. Links to Noble Knight are down below. Second announcement, a big part of this video series is keeping track of some crowdfunding initiatives. It's a little bit quiet right now. We will be coming and visiting the current ones in February. But if you want to keep up on crowdfunding initiatives with war games and a light touch or board games in general, I direct you to Shelf Clutter, who is our collaborative partner channel in this venture. He does a weekly episode on current crowdfunding initiatives, which is a great way to keep up with the scene. A link is down below to his channel as well. Announcement number 3 is kind of a 2-part announcement. San Diego Historical Games Convention is having an online conference with Europe-friendly and US-friendly time. So it runs during the daytime in Europe and in the United States on Saturday, February 3rd. If you're interested in wargaming or involved in wargaming and historical gaming, I highly encourage you to check it out. Tickets for the whole day are only $10. There's a lot of lead designers presenting their new games. A lot of the games that we've talked about on this channel, you can go see live demos with the designers for. There's panel discussions. It's all done through Discord and online mediums. So it's a really relaxing way, and you can dip in and dip out as the day goes through, and you don't have to go anywhere because it's all online. The version of this conference that they had in the middle of the pandemic was one of the things that really sparked my return to wargaming and historical gaming. So I'm a really big believer in what this conference can do, and I highly encourage you to check it out. There's a link down below. A second related announcement to this is I'm a big believer in the San Diego Historical Games Convention mission in broadening the wargaming world and increasing diversity in the wargaming world. And so I'm happy to say that I've been accepted as a team member on San Diego Historical Games Convention Society, and I'll be working more closely with them in the future. So I'm really excited for this new adventure, and I hope you can join us at the upcoming convention on February 3rd. Link again is down below. And with that being said, let's jump in and get started. My most wanted tabletop wargames in 2024 in ranked order. Credit where credit is due. This idea comes from Hissy Cat Studios. He put up a video a couple of weeks ago for his most wanted games in 2024. And I thought, what a cool idea. Because I've talked about a lot of the games that I'm interested in upcoming War Games episodes and various other places and posted online and things like that. But I haven't really gone through and ranked them. And what is the game I want the most in 2024? See if you can guess ahead of time what it might be. So I thought that'd be a really fun thing to do. By the way, Hissy Cat Studios, his channel has just reached 1,000 subscribers. He's doing a lot of really cool and fun ideas with tabletop wargaming. He's the guy who also did the Postcards from the Front competition. So there's a link down below to his channel if you want to go check it out. Second thing, I know there's going to be games missing. Okay, so I've poured through my notes. I looked at the notes for the upcoming video, the upcoming War Games episodes from before and from last year, the old ones, and kind of all the things that I've got going on. I've kind of checked them all out. But I'm sure the very first comment after this video gets posted is going to be something like, what about this game? I thought you were really looking forward to that. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that's right. I was. So if I do miss something, I'll try to post it in the February episode of upcoming War Games, but it's as comprehensive as my brain has been able to build at this point in time. Lastly, I thought I was going to make this a top 10 games, but I realized as I was going through them, it's like, no, that's not possible. There's too many. So I'm going to do 10 very quick, briefly mentions of honorable mentions, games that I'm really looking forward to, but they didn't quite crack that top 10. And then I'm going to go through my top 10 in ranked order. Our first game in the honorable mention category, 85 Afghanistan, Graveyard of Empires, a squad battles game from Flying Pig Games and designed by Mark Walker. There's a lot of things I like about this one. Tactical. I'm kind of on a tactical level binge lately. I love the setting of Afghanistan. It's a really unique setting. Artwork and counters in this one look really, really sharp. And apparently it sounds like it's going to be a fast-playing, tactical-based game, card-driven stuff, checking off a lot of boxes for me, so I'm very interested in this one. Now, I know there's 65 squad battle games. I haven't played that one yet, so I think this would be a good place to kind of check out the squad battles system. Game number 2 in my honorable mention category, I'm kind of, one of the goals for this year is I want to play more Napoleonic games. And this really isn't probably going to be a Napoleonic game per se. It's about the Napoleonic era. I, Napoleon from GMT Games, designed by Ted Racer. This is a game I spotted a while ago, and I think it's slated to come out in 2024. It's kind of a choose-your-own-adventure type of feel to it, except you're playing the life of Napoleon. And I want to read this part down here because this is why it's on my list. Your path may lead you from the Americas to the Near East, from Spain to Russia, from throne to exile. And it goes on describing all the different ways and stuff that your character and your Napoleon play can play out historically. It could end up in ignominy. It could end up in fame. And it says, but there is not one version of a life here, but many. Every game will provide a different narrative. Sold. Right there. Stop. I, Napoleon from GMT Games by Ted Racer. Super excited to see how this one, it sounds unique, very, very creative, and it's got that Napoleonic edge, which I'm looking to dig into this year. Sticking with our Napoleonic theme for a moment, Coalitions from Phalanx Games. This is a game I just learned about 2 weeks ago. It's got a big political element to it. It's set in the Revolutionary and Napoleonic era. Each player is going to take a particular nation, and there's a diplomatic phase during the turn where players are going to make kind of alliances and coalitions and then betrayal and things like that. It's got very much, again, kind of a standing halfway between a Euro and a war game. But I really like the look of the game. I like the ideas behind the game. And if you're a solo gamer, it's got a single player mode where you can play a coalition of forces against Napoleon. So this one just looks really, really interesting, and it's checking off that box of exploring Napoleonic war games this year. And I really like both the multiplayer element, the political element, and that the single player mode looks really interesting as well. So Coalitions from Phalanx Games. Game number 4 in my honorable mention category, a game I'm very much looking forward to, is Invasion Malta from Legion Wargames. Why am I looking forward to it? You can conquer a whole island. Check this out. Here is Malta. That's yours to conquer. I mean, that's pretty cool. And then there's also a mini game with it, Invasion Leros. For whatever reason, it just feels, it's my sense of completeness. But when I can take over a whole island, it just feels really cool. Counter graphics look really, really good. It looks like it's going to be a fun game set in World War II. So yes, checks a lot of boxes for me. Very much interested in it and looking forward to it in 2024. Game number 5 in the honorable mention category, World at War 85 Blood and Fury from Lock and Load Publishing. Now, this is a game I had an earlier prototype for this game in 2023. I got a chance to learn all the rules and I was starting to play it, and then I had to send the game on, but it's Cold War gone hot, 1985. Tons of scenarios, tons of units. The artwork is great. I really like the rule set. Looking forward to digging into it more. Now, why isn't this higher on my list? I've got Storming the Gap 85, and I've still got a lot of gameplay left in that game. But I'm very much looking forward to extending the play into this one, the latest game in the system. Game number 6 in the honorable mention category, Armageddon War from Flying Pig Games. This is another game that I just learned about a week or so. It's just gone up available for pre-order. I'll talk about this one in the February episode a little bit more deeply. I confess, I don't know all that much about it. It's kind of fear of missing out when I look at this one, because there was a tweet about the game on Twitter earlier this week, and then I just retweeted it because it looked like something that maybe people that are following me would want to see and know about. And then immediately after that, a bunch of people said, "Oh, this is a great game. You got to get it. This is a great game. You got to get it. This is a great game. You got to get it." So it sounds like this game is really well. It's been out of print for a long time. It's super expensive as in kind of the reprint mode right now. But it's again, kind of leaning into that modern theme that we just looked at with Blood and Fury. It's a platoon level game set in a hypothetical near future. So the first module focuses on the Mid-East, pitting Israelis, Russians, and Americans against age-old adversaries. Counters look really, really cool. Gameplay is supposedly good. And one of the unique things about it is its continuous turn nature. So instead of kind of having turns, you're pulling chits to see which units go. And then when you get, there's only one chit left in the cup, you take the 2 oldest chits that are still on the activation track, drop them into the cup, and then you keep going. So it sounds like almost there isn't really turns so much as this continuous flow of gameplay. It's a really cool idea. So heard really good things about it. Armageddon War from Flying Pig Games. Game number 7 in the honorable mention category, Manila, the Savage Streets from Revolution Games. This is the sequel, game 2 in the series, the Solitaire Area Movement series that they have. The first one was Stalingrad. This game we talked about in an earlier episode of upcoming War Games. It looks really, really cool. Area movement, solitaire game, city combat, of course, set the Battle of Manila in World War II in the Pacific Theater. Counters look great. Now, why isn't this one higher? For me personally, I want to start with the Stalingrad game. It's just recently come back into print. So I'm looking forward to start with that one and then go to this one. But I know a lot of people that have played the Stalingrad game really, really liked it. And they're extremely looking forward to this one too. So am I, but I want to do Stalingrad first. In game number 8 in my honorable mention category, Shiloh The First from Revolution Games, designed by Steve Carey. There's not a lot of artwork and information yet available out on the internet about this game, but I did get a chance to play it at San Diego Historical Games Convention in November of last year. I got a chance to play with the designer and interview the designer about the game, and just seeing this big map with the blind sword system and the American Civil War. Of course, it's the Battle of Shiloh, the very first day of the battle. Big system. It's got a grand scope and feel to it, and got a chance to play a smaller scenario in the game with the designer. It was so much fun to play this one. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing the final product and getting a chance to bring it to the table. Game number 9 in my honorable mention category for most anticipated games. I'm kind of cheating because I have a prototype of the game right behind me. I'll be bringing you some gameplay of this game to the channel in the next few weeks. So this is the Battle of Khalkin Gol from Princeps Games. I mentioned this one in the previous upcoming War Games edition. I've been looking at the rules, looking at the maps, and looking at the prototype now. It looks like it's going to be a really fun game. I really like Princeps Game stuff because they take a lot of innovative twists with their game design. And this is an obscure battle that I knew nothing about. I've been reading about it on Wikipedia and some other sites over the past few days, kind of getting up to speed on it here. Looks like a really fun game. Excited to getting this from the table. And it will get to the table, I think, in the next week or so. So that's going to be pretty fun. Game number 10 in the honorable mention category. And by the way, the honorable mention category is not ranked. This is just all 10 games in this category. The Last Gamble, the Battle of the Bulge Designer Signature Edition from Compass Games and designed by Danny Parker. Now, this one game has a story behind it, right? Because if you've been following the channel, you know we're doing a bulge off to take the top 20 Battle of the Bulge tabletop games and reduce them to one king of all the Battle of the Bulge games. As I was putting together the games for that competition, this game got mentioned because this Designer Signature Edition is a remake of Danny Parker's game from 1989. And by all accounts, it is one of the best games about the Battle of the Bulge. Even if it were in the competition, it perhaps could be still standing, going toe-to-toe with the current games that like Ardennes 44, Last Blitzkrieg, Ardennes 2, and then Enemy Action Ardennes. This is supposed to be a really good game. The Designer Signature Edition is going to be a complete remake of that one. So with this current focus on the Battle of the Bulge, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this one might look like. I tried to find the 1989 one, but it was expensive and out of print, and I just couldn't justify spending that much money, especially when a new game is going to be coming out shortly in 2024. So I'm very curious to check this one out as it gets released. That was our honorable mention category. Now let's go to my top 10 most wanted war games in 2024, starting out with number 10. Game number 10 and my most wanted for 2024, Dutch Resistance, Orange Shall Overcome, a game designed by Marcel Kurler. Now, in this game is really cool. You play the Dutch Resistance in World War II against the occupying Germans, and you're going to have missions to carry out, which are the scenarios. Now, this is a 1 to 5 player cooperative game. So the Germans are going to be automated, and you're going to be playing the Dutch Resistance either with other people, or of course, because it's 1 to 5, you can play the entire Dutch forces yourself, playing it solitaire. The game was a Zenobia Award finalist. If you're not familiar with the Zenobia Award, it's an award that gives out prizes to designers who take on less commonly told narratives in historical wargaming, innovation in historical wargaming, and get less represented stories to the wargaming and historical gaming tables. So this was a finalist for that game, and I knew that at that point in time, and then I lost track of it, and then it recently resurfaced here. It looks like it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be I think it's going to generate a fantastic narratives. But basically this is, it says Dutch Resistance Orange Shall Overcome is a cooperative pick up and deliver game in which players assume the roles of real members of the Dutch resistance during the final years of World War II. Scenario-based game with each scenario focused on one of the things that the resistance was actually working on. This looks like a ton of fun, and I'm excited to explore this one. Number 10, and my most wanted for 2024, Orange Shall Overcome, designed by Marcel Curler. Game number 9 in my most wanted war games for 2024, Red Dust Rebellion from GMT Games, designed by Jay Carmichael. Coin in space. How cool is that? I think one of the things that holds people back sometimes from jumping into the Coin series is a feeling that you need to know a little bit of the history of the conflict you're going to be playing. Now, some of those that might work out pretty well for something like Vietnam, but for some of the lesser known conflicts, I think people who are new to the series might look at it and say, well, I don't know how to play the Coin game and I don't really know much about this conflict. So it creates a little bit of a complexity to access, if you would. Bring in Red Dust Rebellion, science fiction, nobody knows anything, right? It's just all made up, which is cool because now you can dig into the coin system and everybody's on equal footing in terms of understanding the history behind the conflict that you're exploring. Judging by the pre-orders here, 2,711 pre-orders, which is really high for a GMT pre-order game. This one has hit a chord with that. I'm really excited for this one, not only to play it myself, but to see if it can broaden that player base of coin games and bring it out, because Coin Sits means I think it's got a ton of broad appeal, and I think this is a game that might really carry it with it and bring a lot more people into the system. For this one, you've got martial provisional government, the corporations, red dust movement called the Dusters, and then the Church of the Reclaimer. I mean, this stuff looks really, really cool. I think this is going to be a super fun game. I couldn't be more excited for it and to get it to the table in 2024. Game number 9 on my most wanted list. Game number 8 and my most wanted for 2024. If you've been following the channel, you know I'm kind of cheating with this one because I've already played it a ton. But let me tell you why it's here on number 8, even though it's let me tell you why it's on my most anticipated list as well. First up, Assault Sicily 43 from Assault Games. This is the second game in their tactical World War II combat series. Played a lot of this game over the fall and things like that. I really like it. It's a gritty, granular, tactical game system. Hello, Alexander and Grant. It's a gritty and tactical game system. It does take a little bit of time. It took time for me to get up to speed with the combat system, with the firing, range combat and things like that. But I really like it. And once I got done with the recent video, I said, I'm going to put off the prototype that I had, and I'm going to wait for the final version before I play through the campaign. But I really like this tactical game system, and I wanted to save some anticipation for the campaign. So I'm waiting for the final version to come out in 2024 before I dig into it. But there's a ton of videos for this on the channel if you'd like to see more. I really like the system and the vision for it. It's just a fun, playable, accessible system. Once you get the rules down, fun, playable, accessible system that's got just an incredible amount of depth. So number 8 on my most anticipated games for 2024. It would be higher had I not played it, right? So that's kind of why it's at number 8 right now. I'm saving that back half, that campaign game, before I dig into it. But Assault Sicily 43 from Assault Games. Game number 7 and my most wanted for 2024, Panzer North Africa from GMT Games. Now, why is this so high on my list? Well, Panzer, it's an established tactical combat system. Each unit is an individual vehicle. And some of you may remember Tobruk from Avalon Hill. Well, Tobruk is connecting back to me to this game right here. And so Tobruk was one of my favorite games way back in the Avalon Hill days. And I think that it's bringing back memories. So individual tank battles, that's really fun. World War II, North Africa. It's just checking off a lot of buttons for me. Very much excited for Panzer North Africa. The good thing is there's not a long wait for this one. I just got my charging notice for this one, so I think it's coming out probably within, maybe get a chip within a month or so. It should arrive on the doorstep, so very much looking forward to this one. Game number 6 and my most anticipated for 2024, the Halls of Montezuma from Fort Circle Games, designed by Kevin Bertram and Gilberto Lopez. Why is this here? Well, this game connects to the shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games, which is the most played war game that I've played since I've come back to wargaming. So I played this one a ton in 2022 and 2023, playing on Rally the Troops. The Halls of Montezuma, I got a chance to play down at the San Diego Historical Games Convention. Got a chance to play one game with Kevin Bertram there. It's a ton of fun. It's similar yet very different from the shores of Tripoli, but I think it's going to have that depth of strategy, that fun replayability to it. It's just a really cool two-player game. And there is a solo mode in the game as well. But I think the heart of this game is going to be that two-player competitive mode with a lot of different strategies and tactics and ways to think about winning. This game, of course, covers the Mexican-American War, 1846 to 1848. One player takes the side of the Mexican side. One player takes the U.S. side. There's political cards. It's card-driven. There's area movement. There's a dice chucker, too. There's some big dice battles in here, which is a little bit reminiscent, more so even than the Shores of Tripoli. But easy to play, easy access game. That's a ton of fun. Very much looking forward to getting my hands on this one and digging into it deeper in 2024. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. Game number 5, Purple Haze from Phalanx Games. Now, I confess, this was at number 8, and then I reread the description because I hadn't read it for a while, and I immediately moved it back up to number 5 because this game checks off so many buttons. It's a World War II, a squad game where you're going to be in charge of a squad of U.S. Marines in 1969 in Vietnam. It's got role-playing elements. Each character has their own story background. It's got a campaign with some legacy elements between different scenarios. I think there's eight scenarios in this campaign. It hit all its stretch goals. I mean, just picking off some of the things on the description here in terms that you get to choose and play as a variety of characters, which you can customize and level up as they gain experience. I should say, too, this is a solo cooperative game. So you're playing as the U.S. forces against a Vietnam engine that's going to take care of that side. There is, down here, one of the other paragraphs talks about each Marine you'll command will be unique with its own background story and character traits, much like a role-playing game. Check. You gain experience over you go through the missions. Check. It calls it a story creation game. It's checking all the boxes. The hype for me is really high on this one. And it is slotted, I think, for July. I don't know when it's coming out, but it's sometime in 2024 for sure. Purple Haze from Phalanx Games. We haven't played it, right? I haven't seen it. I haven't played it. I have no idea what the gameplay is going to be like. But if it's anything close to its description, it's going to be a real winner for me. So Purple Haze from Phalanx Games, definitely really excited for this one. Number 5 on my most wanted for 2024. Game number 4 on my most wanted for 2024, The Plum Island Horror from GMT Games, designed by Herman Lutman. Now, some of you might be saying, wait a second, this came out in 2023. Yes. It came out for you in 2023, but I think I was the last one to get shipped my GMT P500 order because I think there's 1,718 orders here listed on the website, and I think I was probably like order 1,712 because I discovered this game very, very late. So I'm at the back end of the mailing list, which means I just got my shipping notification and something happened. It's like UPS is delayed, so I might not see it for like another week or two. But to everybody that's playing it and posting on Twitter and posting how much they're liking the game and all the pictures and stuff like this, I am extremely envious, but I will get my hands on it soon. Why am I looking forward to it, though, and why is it so high on my list? Well, Herman Lutman's a fantastic designer. He designs very accessible, fun, and strategic and thinking games that I think are just really a joy to play. It's got easy accessibility, and I love the science fiction theme for this one. The basic idea is that a hurricane comes over and hits Plum Island. There's a secret lab. All of the chemicals leak out, and it mutates the personnel. And this is a cooperative or solo game where you're playing against the horrors, if you would, that kind of form after this chemical substance gets all over them and stuff like that. So it's got such a cool science fiction kind of fantasy vibe to it here. I think it's going to be a really fun game. Of course, it's a solo game, which I really like solo gaming as well, and playing cooperatively. I think that can be really, really fun. So it's just checking off a lot of buttons as well as tactical. We can see here one of these counters over my head is individual soldier, individual person in the game. So I think it's just going to be a really fun tactical game that's got just a great story generating, and problems that it's going to throw at you are going to be really, really fun too. Again, I haven't played it, so I don't know, but it will be in my hands in about 10 days. So game number 4 on my most wanted list of 2024, Plum Island Horror. My third most wanted game in 2024 keeps us in the GMT family, Fields of Fire Deluxe Edition. Now, there's a lot to say about this game. First of all, it's not a completely new game, right? Fields of Fire 1 and 2 have been out for a long time. There's an expansion that's been out and things like that. It's an amazing solitaire tactical World War II combat company-based level experience, right? Amazing game. There's no question about it. So many people have said, oh, you got to play Fields of Fire. You got to play Fields of Fire. And yet it's had one significant issue that I don't think anyone would deny. It was a bear to learn. Part of it is it got some complexity to the game, but part of it was really probably the way the rules were constructed. I think in admission to that, GMT Games with their Deluxe edition, what's been clear behind their messaging behind this is that they're trying to make it more accessible and make that learning experience of this game and this incredible system more accessible to players and just revise that. So there's, a starter missions, there's more in-depth tutorials and player aids to help you learn the game and learn how to jump into the system. So rather than taking on the challenge of learning the original Fields of Fire with its kind of previous rule set, I decided to wait for Fields of Fire Deluxe Edition before I jump in. I can tell you, though, that it is one of my most anticipated and most wanted games. Solo game, World War II Tactical. I mean, there's just a ton of buttons here, and everybody says it's an amazing game once you finally learn how to play it, but learning how to play it has got a tremendous learning curve to it. This will flatten out that learning curve if it's executed well. I'm very much looking forward to getting this to the table in 2024. Game number 2 on my list for most wanted in 2024 is JU-87 Stuka Ace from Lock and Load Publishing. Now, I am going to be I know I'm walking into a minefield for this game, and I'll explain more later about that aspect, but let me talk a little bit about the game first. Now, I got a chance to play this one last year. I had about 2 weeks that I could spend with the prototype of the game before I had to send it on. So I played a couple missions. There's a couple of videos up on the channel about it. In this game, you take the role of an individual Stuka pilot in World War II, and you have an entire World War II campaign arc for your character. As you fly more missions and gain experience, your skills go up, so it's got kind of a role-playing element to it. There's campaigns in Russia, France, Spain, all these kinds of things that you can play and places you can go as a Stuka pilot. As your responsibilities increase, you're in charge of more planes and everything, but at the heart of it is you're this individual Stuka pilot having a career in World War II as a Stuka pilot going on bombing missions. One of the things I really liked about the time I was able to spend with this game is that often I think this genre of solo game, which it is very much a solo game, is a game where it's story narrative heavy. Great stories, but oftentimes the decision matrix feels light. I feel like with the role-playing elements to this game and with all of the other elements that are involved with this game, the decision matrix feels really high. So you're constantly engaged with meaningful decisions to make, and you're getting the story element. So I feel like more so than in other games I've seen in this subgenre of war games, this game felt like a really strong combination of decisions and narrative. So I really liked the time I spent with it. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on the final version, and it is definitely way, way up on my list of most anticipated games of 2024. Now, I have to pause for a moment and talk a little bit about the minefield. The minefield is this here, which I can show you on the GameFound page here. Delivery and pledge fulfillment and delivery September 2023 and October 2023. The game's late, and it doesn't have a shipping date yet. So it's significantly late. There are a number of people, and this is connected to the lateness of Blood and Fury, and also there's a third game from Lock and Load Publishing that falls in that same category. There are a number of people who are very upset about the game's lateness, the game's lateness, and the circumstances surrounding that. I know nothing of the backstory behind it other than what I've heard publicly from Lock and Load and things like that. So I have no inside information to this. My role was to look at that prototype and play it for a couple weeks, and then I sent it on. So I can't speak to that, but I can speak to my experience with the game, and I am really excited to get my hands on the game in 2024. Now, if you're all worried about the circumstances behind the game's lateness and things like that, I would say definitely please wait until the game starts shipping, and then you won't put yourself at any other situation that you're not comfortable with. So just wait for the game to ship if you haven't already put the money up for the Kickstarter and things like that. So that's all I really know about that, but I have to be true to my heart. This game was awesome. I really, really liked it. Now, I didn't get a chance to play the whole campaign, so I can't say anything about the campaign arc, but that individual mission level and what I could see of the campaign arc, it is so high on my list of most anticipated games for 2024. Really, really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping to see it at some point in 2024. I think it's definitely going to be a really cool game. And we're here. My most anticipated game, my most wanted war game, historical conflict game of 2024. I'm curious if people think you can guess the game. I couldn't be more excited for this one. It is my number one game. I think some of you will be able to figure it out. Without any delay, here we go. My number one game of 2024. Away Team, Voyages the Pandora, again from GMT Games. Now, why is this game on my list? First of all, I'm not alone in this, right? Because look at the pre-orders, 2,572 pre-orders on GMT's site for this. There's an incredible amount of people that as soon as I posted this in one of the upcoming Wargamings episodes from last year, or like early last year, people said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that one. I mean, this is basically, it's a game where you take charge of the Pandora, I believe is the name of the ship. Yeah, the Voyage of the Pandora is a game exploring alien worlds and distant star systems. You command the Pandora and you have crew members. You're going to these different planets there. It's got an 80-hour campaign game that you can play. Your crews can level up in skills and stuff like that. And each one of these kind of planet areas that you can see here has unique events that happen. You've got this massive book that you're going to be, it's kind of like design your own adventure type of elements to it, but you're leveling up crews. So it's got role playing. It's got the science fiction element. It's got to a certain degree, kind of like a Star Trek element to it as well. Very replayable. You can also play it multiplayer. Oh my goodness. I mean, I feel like this is a game you can just get lost in the story of your crew and the narratives that this is going to spawn and the things that are going to happen and the decisions you're going to have to make. And I feel really comfortable. Why also I will say that my hype meter is particularly high for this one is that John Butterfield is the lead design, and I just love the stuff that he makes. So we've got a renowned designer leading, and this is actually a remake, it should be said. It's a remake and kind of a completely re-envisioned version of an earlier game from a long time prior to this. So it's got some pedigree as being a well-known game. And then we're also looking at just a completely expanded, enhanced, redesigned edition of this game that people are going to be able to play. I could not be more excited for Away Team and can't wait to get my hands on it. The #1 most anticipated game in 2024, Away Team Voyages the Pandora from GMT Games. And with that, we've covered a lot of ground today. What games did I miss? First of all, I'd like to ask you to put it down in the comments. What games did I miss and what's your most anticipated game in 2024? But we're not quite done yet, right? Because we still have our Noble Knights $50 store credit giveaway. Now, last month, I asked you to put a post with a hashtag down below in the comments and things like that. This month, we're going to do it a little bit differently. There's a Google form with 3 questions on it. It's about Noble Knight. I'll put a link down below to the form. So what you want to do is go to that form, open it up, take your best. They're multiple choice questions. They're not super hard, but it will require you to do a little bit of a treasure hunt in order to be able to find the answers. Put your best guesses to the answers in there and then submit that. I'll pick one winner from the list of whoever has the correct answers in there. We'll give away a $50 store credit. That'll be on the channel update that should be coming out in about a couple of weeks. In order to prevent duplicate entries on the contest, I do need to collect people's email addresses. Please use the email address that you either have tied to your Noble Knight Games account or that you would tie to it if you don't have an account already. I have no interest in collecting people's email addresses. I will delete them and will, of course, I'll delete them after the contest is over, and I will not share them with anybody. Please feel free to go enter, see if you can win your $50 store credit from Noble Knight Games. Thank you very much for them for being a channel sponsor. That brings us to the end. I'll be back in 2 weeks or so. I want to try to get these out closer to the beginning of the month. We'll be back with 2 weeks with a more traditional version. We're going to look at crowdfunding games. We're going to look at newly released games. We're going to look at last call games and things like that. We'll get all caught up to date in the February 2024 edition, which should be out in a couple of weeks. And we should have another Noble Knight Games giveaway in that version, in that episode as well. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great day.